So hello once again, traders. Patrick Maldonado here. Welcome back to the TCE Trading Podcast. Now this episode is very special as it will be the first one with a guest. Today I'm joined by Vincenzo Toscano, a personal friend of mine, an entrepreneur in the e-commerce industry. He is owner of Ecomcy, an e-commerce consulting company helping people start their own business, and also an owner of an e-commerce store. Today he's going to tell us more about his story, and we will be discussing how you can leave your 9 to 5 job and how you can go about it. So guys, if you like my content and would like more guests and their stories to be heard, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and also share it with your friends. It is really appreciated. So Enzo, welcome to the TC Trading Podcast. How are you feeling?
Doing great, Patrick. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure. And looking forward to discuss forward all the amazing things we have to talk today.
Yeah, it's we having wanted, like, I think everyone wants almost to start a podcast and talk about things that they've been thinking about, right? And we have been thinking about discussing some important topics about entrepreneurship, discuss important topics about, how you leave your 9 to 5 job, how you can start your own business, which is not easy. It's not easy at all.
No.
For the audience, Enzo is a really good friend of mine. We studied together at university. I mean, we have such amazing stories. If you remember the second year of our university studies, those were crazy times. I remember the last party that I was there, everything happened.
Yes.
People cried. I was leaving.
Bottles on the air.
Yeah, exactly. I even you remember that. Even I think I smoked my first cigarette. Like I sometimes I smoke cigars and things, but I never smoked cigarettes. So everything happened. And in the end, like he rescued me. Basically, we went to eat a kebab, and then for some reason the next day everything was spread. There was like lettuce in the floor and whatever. So they were crazy times. So we go back a lot. And one of the things that this is kind of ironic, isn't it? Because we both studied aerospace engineering. The audience already knows that I went to the UK. I studied there, and now we're doing something completely kind of unrelated, right? Now, the thing that I wanted to ask you is, for instance, for me, again, people already know my story because I went through the UK. I tried to get a job, because of sponsorships, visa, and so on. I got rejected. I tried France, then they put other other things. You need to get a master's. Again, there was bureaucracy. I tried Canada. It didn't work because of COVID and what was happening. So for me, making this switch and say, hey, if nothing's working out, let's try to focus entirely on this kind of hustle of on TCE trading, on my own trading, me as a trading mentorship, as a trading mentor. For me, it was easy. It was, I didn't have anything else. So I thought, okay, I might as well put all my effort into it. But for you, it's a completely different story, right? Because you were already working for a good company. You were having a solid, let's say, salary. So you had to think more. It was a different decision. So I definitely want to go into that. So first of all, tell us more about yourself, Enzo. Tell us about your background.
Yes, sure. So, I was originally born on Italy, in Naples. When I was around 4 or 5 years old, basically my parents moved to Venezuela, and then I lived there until I was around 17, 18. And then what I did is I decided to basically continue my high level education outside of Venezuela, because as many people might know, the situation there is not that well. So then I decided to basically go first to Canada, where I did my English studies, and then I went to UK, to Sheffield. But I actually think I met you during the foundation year, if you recall. So basically, the foundation year is basically something we need to do because we come from Latin America. And we don't have the A levels basically. And then I did my whole degree in aerospace engineering, as you, and then started working. So basically, that's on a nutshell all my background. And yeah,
And
that's
this is
about.
something I wanted to discuss with you because there, I don't know what it is, because there's something about being, I don't know if it's Latino or if it's coming from a third world country, because you have kind of the best of two countries, right? You were
Yeah.
born in Europe, but also you had like a big influence of Latin America, right? You lived there a
Yes.
lot of years. So the question here is, do you think that gives us an edge? For instance, for me, when I think like, the audience already knows that I'm originally from Mexico.
Yeah.
So they know that in order for me or for people kind of like us, in order to have the same opportunities like someone in Europe, it's very difficult. You have to push even further. You have to become smarter. You have to do more
Yes.
just to be on the same level, right? Now,
Yeah.
for you, it's kind of different, but you still have that mentality, right? Because
Yes.
for most of the time, wherever you were in Venezuela, you knew what the situation was, how bad things can really be. And I just want to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that helps you creating this edge to say, hey, I want to create my own business, I'm gonna go through it? I just want to hear your
Yes.
thoughts on that.
Yes. I think basically one of the main drivers for us that come from Latin America is we know how. I mean, we know how bad people is living down there in terms of economically and the opportunities that they have. And then when you see yourself having the opportunity to come to Europe and then to really be on a better position that they are, you feel like that you cannot really waste this opportunity. And I think that I always use that as a driver, that because I had the opportunity, I really need to do something big. And then it's just a matter of really having always that in mind and understanding that you didn't came here just to be a normal person. If you really work that hard to go out, is you better do something good, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the mentality I have. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you remember when we were at university, you and I, we were not like normal students. We were not
Yeah.
aiming at barely passing, right, or that
Yes.
2 to 1. We were always like first. We
Yeah.
had the best
Top
grades.
of the
And
class. Yeah.
exactly. And that, I mean, again, it's because of our mentality. If you are having this opportunity, you're gonna take whatever you can. You're gonna put
Yeah.
your very best, right? Uh,
And
so
actually, you saw that with a lot of international students. That you see that compared to English students, you always see that most of the time, international students that come from difficult countries like ourselves, you always see them to be the best students. And it's because of what you're saying right now, that you feel like you you are really, I mean, you're having that special opportunity because it's difficult from where we're coming from, and then you don't feel like you're entitled like some people might feel here, and you work harder and you really appreciate the opportunity.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's a very important thing. That's huge for us, right?
Mm.
Well, in any case, I want to know more about how you started learning about
Yeah.
e-commerce. Because even when I started trading, I did it on my own.
Yes.
It's a difficult process when you don't really have no one to really teach you. So I want
Yes.
to hear your experience. What was the process? What were some of the challenges that you faced? Only about learning. I mean, because you have to come from zero, right? Like, it's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you were born and you know about e-commerce. So what was your experience like?
Yeah. Sure. So I mean, basically, how I got started on e-commerce is because around more or less 2 years ago, I was on a trip with my girlfriend, and then I went out with her cousin, and basically her boyfriend was in there, and he started talking about this thing about Amazon. And then I saw that basically he wasn't like most people that we know, that they have a 9 to 5 or they follow the same structure that pretty much 90% of population. And I said, wow, it's interesting, like it's doing something different. And then when I arrived home, I started exploring the opportunity more and more, and then I just fell in love with the whole thing, that basically you can have a business with just you basically just need a laptop and internet. That's everything that you need. And then it opened my mind that all business, I mean, that old way of doing business, that you need to have an office, you need to have employees and all that, that's not the case anymore. With e-commerce, you can really find a good product or solve a solution, and then you can bring it to the market. And as long as you know how to basically market it properly, I think it's huge chances to anybody can do it, to be honest. And you don't need a huge capital, which is also very good. um well, that's basically one of the reasons why I felt in love. And then in terms of learning, the whole process was everything on my own. I didn't do any courses. It was purely YouTube, podcasts, reading books, and then of course experience, because I, as you say at the beginning in the introduction, I opened my own e-commerce store, and basically from there I started launching products, basically learning from the process, putting my own money that I was doing from my regular 9 to 5 job. And then when I saw the opportunity to really jump the ship, I took the yeah, the chance, and here I am right now. Yeah.
How long was it before you opened your first, your first store? Uh, in terms of learning, how long was that?
So basically, I heard about the opportunity, I would say around August, September. And in January, I was already launching my first product. So I would say around 3 months was the whole process of learning. But I would say at least 5 hours per day, every day, watching videos, reading things. And those 3 months, I use it to get as much info as possible. And then I reach a point where, you reach a point when you're going into a new sector that you need to get inside the field and try. There is no
Yeah.
point watching more videos or reading more. There is a point that you need to just try it,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. Yeah, because
Amazing.
sometimes people, I think that's a big issue with people that want to get into entrepreneurship or starting a business. That's basically you create this paralysis in your mind that you need to think, that you need to know everything, you need to have everything figure it out before you start something, and that's definitely not the case. I think sometimes you need to jump into the water and just learn to swim while
Yeah,
you're
kind
there.
of like as surviving when
Yeah,
you're there. I completely agree. I mean, because it's the same with trading, right? There's so
yeah,
much that you can know beforehand, but most of the learning is actually when you start doing. Most of the
mm,
learning that's gonna really say if you're gonna be successful in the long run is things that you learn by applying. And that's, as you
mm,
say, a lot of people are scared of doing a business, opening I don't know, e-commerce store, or start trading, or start doing anything. There's a lot of different things that they can do, and they are scared because they don't know about it, and they're like, okay, but I'm gonna wait until I'm ready. But yeah, but
mm,
you will
yeah,
never be completely ready, right? I don't
sure,
know anyone who has been successful that would say, hey, I was completely ready to start kind of this job, or, well, not this job, but kind of this business, right? I mean, you
yeah.
don't hear about that. uh, Another thing that I wanted to know is, how did you feel leaving your 9 to 5 job? Can you
Yeah.
explain just what you were doing, before starting your own venture, before starting your own business? How did you manage to have a job and kind of like this side hustle?
Yeah, sure. So basically, uh, when I started diving into more into e-commerce and the whole thing, I was working as an aerospace engineer in Rolls Royce. Basically, as I actually started working, as I say, around June, July, and then around August, I was already trying to do a business on the side, because just 2 months inside the thing, I already knew that wasn't for me. And the reason for that is because, for me, just having the mentality of working 9 to 5 your whole life and then just hoping for a pension and not thinking outside the box and basically be conditioned on your location and what you do with your time, that is something I wouldn't trade personally. Some people would, but I'm the kind of person that prefer to work 80 to 100 hours weeks and have my own team that work 40 hours per week and have the happy weekend as most people. But again, that's personal preference. And then, as I was saying, I started doing my research on the side, and then basically was working from 9 to 5. Then I arrived home, eat something, and then was every day working from 7 to 1 or 2 in the morning. And I did that basically for a whole year straight. It was difficult, of course, very stressful. I was very tired, but it was worth it because I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure you also follow him, Gary V, and then I like something that he says that is true. Basically, it's not that you don't have time; it's that basically you don't want it hard enough. Basically, what it means is that people say I don't have time or things like that, but the reality is people arrive home at 5, and then what you do from 5 to 11, 5 to 12, what you do? Most people watch TV or waste time doing whatever. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
anything instead of really working on what they want in their life. And then that was my case. I prefer to sacrifice a whole year and just do everything on the side until I saw the opportunity of leaving the job completely, and then doing the e-commerce business on the side, and then also doing my consultancy agency.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I completely agree. Even for me, I worked in. I mean, I did work in Rolls Royce for 1 year, and then I work in booking for another year. And just the fact of being 9 to 5, doing the same thing,
Yeah,
it's kind of like a robot. You wake up, you go
yeah,
to work, you finish your job, you go sleep or eat or do whatever. Maybe you have a couple hours, to do something. Then you wait until the weekend, then you out, and that's pretty much your life is the weekend, right? And whatever
yeah.
else is what
You
you
live for the weekend. Yeah,
need to do. Another thing that I think is very important is, kind of like our mind. The brain is based on gratification, right? So a lot of people, what they want is instant gratification.
yes,
It's like, okay, I'm doing all this work, I'm getting this payment, right? So they're not really thinking about the future. Where for you it's and for me it's more like, I don't really care about right now, but I'm doing this because I know that the gratification in the future is gonna be way more than the gratification I'm gonna get from only having a salary
yes,
or a wage in a 9 to 5 job. So I think that's something that a lot of people feel. Now, what's very interesting for me is like, how did you feel? Because at one point you
mm,
left your job, right? You had
yeah.
to talk to your manager. Were you nervous? Were you excited? Tell us more about that.
Yes, I mean it was difficult because I was almost going to reach my second year with inside the company, and of course, I mean you never know what is going to happen when you leave the job. You don't know if what you're doing, maybe your business goes down or you have some kind of emergency, and then you don't have the safety net. Because I think the issue most people don't want to leave the job is because you feel that having a job you're safe and you have somebody holding your hand, but then we're seeing right now with the COVID situation that
Yeah,
that's not the case. You are getting people is getting fired like nothing, and I think that in some sense, I mean, the situation is very hard, but I think in some sense it's good as an awakening thing for society that a job is not something that you can rely forever, and it's always good that you try to open your mind outside the box and just thinking that you're gonna stay in the company for 30 years and that's the only thing you're gonna do. But again, the process was stressful, of course, because I didn't know what was going to happen in terms if I was going to happen of money to live, where I was going to live. Basically, what I was doing was really worth it for sacrificing my degree career because basically I was working as an engineer. But then something that this process is teaching me is that I mean, no matter which fear you have or which difficulty you think you might have, you're always gonna find a way around. I mean, there is not. I mean, the only thing you're gonna find a way around is maybe, of course, dying, which is the worst scenario. But if you remove that scenario, you're always gonna find a way
yeah,
around. And
way
I
out.
think having that mentality of no of having that open mind that you're gonna find the solution is always the key when you're making such a important decision moving
Yeah.
forward.
And that's true. And I think this highlighted, just what you said about what happened with this virus and how it affected many people. Even I heard a lot of people, lost their jobs, and what do they have? Right?
Yeah,
They didn't have anything, to the point that even the government had to help everyone printed money, and that's another whole topic, in regards inflation and in regards to the economy. But yeah, people think that having a job is safe, right? But you can, you can be fired. You, I mean, there's so many things that
company can go
happen.
bankrupt. So
Yeah,
many
yeah,
things.
exactly. So in reality, I think, I mean, because this is something that I tell my students, it's not only that you have to see like a side business, something that you should only be doing, right? When I'm saying if you want to learn about trading, it's not like you trade and that's it, you don't do anything else. No, it's the opposite. You have to diversify. You have to be like, okay, maybe if you're working but you also have a second income, if something happened, you get fired, or maybe, I don't know, you get pregnant, something, maybe you get handicapped,
sick or something.
Exactly, whatever it is, and you lose your job, at least you have another side income, right? So you're not completely kind of naked. If something happened, that's it. So that's great. I mean, it has been great knowing your story, and this is something that I want to start doing more, even in my podcast. A lot of people think it might be only about trading, which we cover a lot about trading, but in essence, trading is also being an entrepreneur, right? Because you have all these risks and you also are kind of like trying to survive, learn about the business, trying to make it grow. And that's basically what entrepreneur is. So I think, I mean, I'm very excited for this to be happening right now, to have you here. It's a pleasure. And now I want to head into some kind of conversation topics. Let's talk about some other things. Now, the first thing that I wanted to say is, okay, what business types there are? I mean, there's so many things that people can do, and for some reason it feels like people don't really know. People are like, oh, but what can I do? Everything's saturated, or you can't earn money. But in reality, there's such I mean, there's a lot of things. You have, for instance, trading is one thing. You have e-commerce, you have drop shipping. I think you have
retail arbitrage.
Retail arbitrage. I mean, you can create a course, no? Right? Even in your case, you have the knowledge now that if you wanted, you could create your own online course and you could sell it, right? You could start your own podcast in learning how to become an e-commerce platform. You can be a content creator, start YouTube videos. So I think the point is that there's no excuse, right, to not start your own business or side hustle. Again, it's not that you have to start it and then just go full into it. But I don't know, what do you think about that? About people saying, I don't know how to start. Is that an excuse, or?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, now with the internet, I don't think you really have an excuse to say that making a business is difficult, because there are so many things that you can do while you have your 9 to 5. For example, trading is a big example of what you do. You can easily have a 9 to 5. You can take 10% of your salary every month, put it aside, and use it to basically start your trading portfolio. It's something that instead of putting that 10% towards party or vacation or whatever, take that 10% of whatever. Maybe you do 2,000 per month, you take $200 every month and use that to do trading, and you teach yourself. In the other hand, you can do the same with retail arbitrage. You can go to, for example, places, I mean, for example, in UK would be Max, but in USA would be Walmart, Target, these places where you can find things for really cheap, or even garage sales, and then you can sell them on eBay and you can make money on the side. And then e-commerce is the same. You can easily buy products, for example, on Alibaba, bring it to UK, USA, make a brand and sell it. I mean, there's so many things you can do, and you just need the will to do it and basically work hard. Because if you think that you're gonna make easy money, and people is gonna give you the business in your hands so you can feel safe to leave the 9 to 5, that's not gonna exist. I mean, you either sacrifice a few years while you have your 9 to 5, or there isn't really another way to do it if you really want to feel safe to do the jump from having a job to having your own thing.
Yeah, and I think you also cover a little bit of the next topic, which is, how do you deal with with that fear of leaving your 9 to 5, right? You discuss. I mean, the opportunities are there, right? And as you said, you don't necessarily have to just jump and start your own business, because you can start with your own job. You can start learning. You can start doing this retail arbitrage. You can start learning about trading, and you can have both at some point, right? You can, as you said, you can put maybe 10%, 20%, or whichever percent you want into your side business, make it grow, and then at a point, it's kind of more secure. Now you can make that transition a little bit easier. So I think that's something that a lot of people don't really understand, or maybe they don't take into consideration, that it's not really like, okay, that's it, you must start from scratch. Is that you can use your job to your advantage in order to leverage your side business. And that's where it becomes really powerful. And this is when we talk about diversification, is that you have more opportunities than people who don't just want to put the effort. Now,
I think
tell me.
Yeah, sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think one point I would like to say is that I see also a big issue with people don't want it to. I mean, they want to start a business or they want to start a side income, but they are afraid of losing the money. So what I mean with this is, let's say you have 200 spare dollars to do, I don't know, some small trading or exploring something e-commerce. So people feel that if they cannot secure those $200 to don't be wasted, they're not gonna give the try. And I think that's a big issue, because people feel that to do the jump from 9 to 5 to having a business, it needs to be everything secure, everything needs to be perfect, or I rather use that money
without
for
risk.
holidays.
Yes.
And that's the reality why most people don't jump, because they rather say, I don't know if I want to waste this $2,000 to give it a try. I rather use it for holidays, and I'm gonna be happy 1 week. And that's most people.
Yeah, you have to risk it at one point, right?
Yeah.
Business are risky. That's what makes them profitable, right? If there's no risk, then you don't have the same amount of profit. You can't say like you have your normal job and you don't want to risk money and risk being bankrupt or risk not being able to pay your bills. So you don't get the gratification of what people who went through that risk and ended up being successful have. So I think I completely agree. Another thing that I wanted to talk about that I don't see anyone talking, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms even in the marketing, because it must be almost the same marketing as it is for trading in terms of e-commerce, that people show their Lamborghinis, people are ads saying, oh, look at the lifestyle that I have. But in reality, no one really talks about like the negative parts, and I, even before starting recording, I talked to you, like there's kind of like maybe not depression, but there are negative feelings as well when you're trying to do your own business, and it's not only from what you feel, it's also about your family, people in general, you've maybe your parents telling you have to get a normal job, you studied aerospace engineering, what are you doing with e-commerce, right? They don't support you. And you can even see some friends that are working and maybe partying and doing all these things instead of saving or doing a business, while you are really just kind of grinding, right? So there's a lot of negative feelings that maybe you want to say, okay, I don't want to listen to that, and I'm gonna hustle, but in some way it kind of affects you. So what do you think about that? Like, did that happen to you as well when you were starting?
Yeah, I mean, for example, in my case, it was that was the case. I mean, nobody really believed in what I was doing, and the issue I had is that, I mean, of course, my parents weren't really supporting the idea, because they had the feeling that if you really study what you study, you should keep with that and just do that for the rest of your life. But then I think I have started to change that mentality with them as they start to see the results. Because I mean, parents, I think parents are always going to support you, even if they say they're not going to. It's just that they're doing it, I think, to keep you safe and because they want the best for you. But eventually, I can assure you that once things start to get well, of whatever you decide to do, different from your degree or whatever they want you to pursue, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna keep supporting you when they see that it's giving basically results. Now, in terms of how I was keeping my basically my mind positive and keep all the negative outside. I mean, what I did during all that period while I was still working in the company, I was basically, I would say, 16 at least 16 hours per day I was listening to podcasts. And this and the reason, I mean, I know it might sound crazy, but the reason why I was always hearing to podcasts is because it was the only way to keep people that I knew they have achieved what I want to achieve, and they keep the positivity on my mind. Because when I was going back to the office and talk my ideas to people around me or things like that, the first day they think you're crazy,
Yeah, of
these
course.
things are not achievable, things like that. So what I did is I put my headphones on, put the podcast that talk about doing business or positive mindset, and that helped me a lot because it kind of make me feel that I was around that
That environment, right?
that
People
kind of
that think,
environment that I
yeah,
don't have here. You see what I mean? So I
yes,
think that would be a good advice. If you don't have the environment around you,
create
you
your
should
own
create
environment.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, even for me, it has happened that, you know, even to the point that people told me kind of, I resent you, right? Because they see
Right.
that you have your own time, your own schedule. You know, if for some reason you don't have clients and you want to wake up a little bit later, I mean, you can do it. If you want to work on the weekends, you can do it. You can switch and so on, because it's your business, and as long as you meet your goals, everything's fine. But I don't think a lot of people, they see the amount of work that it goes, right? You just told me that you were 16 hours listening on learning about business, about e-commerce. You were not only working your 9 to 5, but apart from that, you were also working, right? Even in some cases with me, you know, when I did a research to make my own web page and all the infrastructures, you know, it was days that I was at the very least, I say 5 6 hours just learning and then trying to apply, you know. And then even though, like, yeah, it might see that you are not doing a lot, just monitoring your business, right? In case your marketing, how is it
Yeah.
doing? Just planning in your mind, okay, what's the next step? That takes time, you know. And that's
Mm.
something people think that, you know, or they don't appreciate it because they're used to have someone that tell them, hey, you have to do this, and that's easy. I mean, that's easy,
Yeah.
you know. Doing
Yeah.
something when you have someone to tell you what to do, that's easy. But you creating a plan and creating a business from scratch, that's kind of more difficult. And in the end,
Yeah.
it it all adds to one question: is it worth the risk? You know,
Yeah.
is it worth the risk? Because we talk
Yes.
about, you and me, we're 20 to 30 years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're still not 30, but uh, we can still risk this. You know, worst case scenario, we fail. I mean, you can still get a normal
Hmm.
job, right? You can still get something, right? Even though it's not what you want, you know. I mean, the best case scenario, we're very successful and we can get a lot more than doing a normal job would. But the
Yeah.
worst scenario is that we go there. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Yes. I mean, for me, the race is completely worth it, and the reason why is because for me, it's all about the journey. It's not about achieving the goal. So what I mean is, for me, what makes me happy is doing whatever I want, having my taking holiday where I want, working when I want, and doing whatever that I want. And basically, that's what I'm doing right now. So I will say, in some point or another, that's already making me happy. Of course, I will be more happy if I will have already, as you say, the millions
Yeah, of
or
course.
whatever is your financial goal, or all that. But I think you need to think, what is the journey that you want to have. If you want to have a 9 to 5 journey and that's what make you happy, then I mean, I would say the number one goal is your happiness, not always the financial part. So if you think that having a 9 to 5 or having the weekend free, that's your happiness, then you won in life. I mean, it's really finding that equilibrium. But for me, because I wasn't happy at the 9 to 5, the risk was worth.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I think it really depends on your position,
And what you
and also
want.
what is your projection in the future. Because if you have specific goals and of things that you want to achieve, you need to be honest with yourself and sit and take a few minutes and say, is the path I'm taking gonna get me there or not? And once I did that, I knew that that wasn't the case, and then I proceed to take action.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, all of these topics that we talked about, it's true. And I mean, my hope is that people, who are scared, they, for one or the other reasons that we have mentioned, if it's because of their family, if it's because it's risky, if it's because, they will appreciate that. If, in the end, you have to risk it. In the UK, they say risk it for a chocolate biscuit, meaning that if you don't risk it, you're not really uh, gonna go beyond that. A lot of people complain that they don't have money, or they see like people with businesses and people making a lot of money, they resent them, and they're like, they shouldn't have that. But why not? They took the time to learn, they took all the risk. Probably a lot of them, they went through depression, or they went through really, really you know bad feelings emotionally. It's a
I
whole
mean,
year
they don't see the hard work. I mean, they want the money, but they don't want
to
the
put the
fact that
effort, right? Yeah,
they
exactly.
need to work on Sunday nights. They don't have holidays. I mean, even myself, when I go on holidays, I work. That's the reality. So now, from the moment I'm having now my own business, every time I go into holiday, I will say at least almost all the morning is always used for working. So that's a price you need to pay. You wanna have the freedom, you wanna have the money, whatever. The reality is that most people that have is hardworking, sacrificing your time, and then that's
Saving, not
yeah,
having costs and so on. Uh, and
yeah.
so, Vincenzo, it has been great having you. I mean, I hope that the listeners and the audience, they learn, or they can get something out of it. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you enjoy also kind of like talking about it. Potentially in the future, we can talk about another topic as well.
Yes,
I would
sure.
love to have you back. Well, in any case, I'm gonna proceed with ending the episode. So, in any case, listeners, I hope that you enjoy this episode of the TCE Trading Podcast. I hope this episode energized you in a way, into following your dreams. We have talked about how you can live your 9 to 5, how you can feel about it. If the risk is worth it, there are a lot of things that you can work on as a side hustle or future business. So there's really no excuse. If you want to learn more about trading, you can always go to my webpage at tctrading.com. We have a complete course for beginners that will teach you how to go from zero to a potential business or side hustle with trading. Now, you can also get into e-commerce. We have Enzo here. Vincenzo has a lot of experience in this industry. And so where can my listeners, where can the audience find more about your business?
Yes, so if you want to learn more about e-commerce, or are you looking to really start your side hustle, really get started in this sector, you can reach out to me. You can go into our website. So it's www.ecomcy, so ecomcy.com. And then in there, you're going to find all the information about how you can get your first consultation for free. And basically, we'll be more than happy to guide you forward if you think this is the right thing
Amazing.
for you, of course.
Great,
Yeah.
great. In any case, I will put the link of your webpage in the description so people can go into there, if they want to listen more. I think it's worth it, A lot of people say, okay, how do I start? So I think a good thing about, TC trading, about Ecomcy is that we took all those hours that you need, that a normal person need to go through, and we practically simplify
Compress
it.
them. Yeah.
Exactly. So for instance, if someone wants to learn about trading, I spent years trying to learn the different things, right? And everything is now in like 10 plus hours, so that you can really go through it. And with you, it's the same case. They don't really have to go through zero from everything, because you already know. So it's kind of easier. So I think this kind of opportunity is very important for people who want to take that next step. In any case, and so thank you very much for joining me today. And for all of you who are listening, thank you very much for following my podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Trading is also about entrepreneurship, and I will be looking forward to bringing other business owners, entrepreneurs into the podcast. Tell us their stories, tell us what they have been going through. So please subscribe to the show and share if you like it. I will see you in the next episode. Take care.
Thank you.